A very good evening, everyone who has joined us directly on the Zoom link, and all of you who are also watching us, who will be watching us later, all these recorded sessions. First of all, I would like to acknowledge some of the dignitaries. We have our District Director, Mukta Natkar, DTM, present over here. Thank you, Muktaji, for gracing us on this occasion. We also have DTM Brillian, Dr. DTM Brillian, who is one of our main educators for today, and I'll be introducing him later. And I would like to also thank all the club leaders and the district officers who are gracing us on this occasion. Other than me, we have our program quality director, Amandeep Singh, as well, who is one of the moderators for the second session for today. So we will be taking it over from here. So we'll quickly get into the first discussion for today. And Zoom Master, I would like you to spotlight DTM Brilliant for that. So here we have DTM Brilliant onto the screen. I'll also get into speakers mode so that I can see him. So the intention of this particular boot camp is very simple. Usually you would have seen us doing regular trainings when a trainer comes, delivers a session and just goes off. So what happens is most of the time there are a lot of questions which are unanswered from your side, which sometimes are not answered. So we thought, why don't we first ask the members what are the basic challenges or the questions that they have? And then if we try to answer those questions through something like a little discussion over here, so this will be a very candid discussion in between DTM Brilliant. So I'll be asking him some questions which have been shared to us by the members, and some of them are very general questions. And in the end, we have kept approximately 10 minutes for some on the spot questions. So if any one of you have any questions to ask us during this discussion that is happening, you can always ask us those questions. So let me first introduce our educator for the day today, Dr. and Distinguished Toastmaster Brilliant. So he has been one of the most distinguished Toastmasters. He has done DTM 4 times, or Distinguished Toastmasters 4 times. He has been our past regional advisor. He has served in almost all the leadership positions, and he is one of the most celebrated trainers we have in our district and in Toastmasters fraternity on the whole. You would also see him gracing the international stage this year. So if you have missed out that information, we would like you to please visit the international convention and listen to DTM Brilliant over there. So thank you, DTM Brilliant, for first of all honoring us with your presence on this particular day. So before we get into it, this is for all the members who are listening to us. We are going to have series of boot camps, one every month. So there will be 2 separate sessions of 1 hour each. And the way these have been designed is very simple. Whatever activities the club leaders are expected to do the coming month, we would be addressing most of those questions in the boot camp a month in advance, so that when you start doing those activities in your clubs, you have a fair hands-on experience and also knowledge to know what to do. So the first session that we are taking today is nothing but club success plan, as you all know, and who better than DTM Brilliant to take us through this. So before even we get into this session, there is a word plan in club success plan. So what do you think, Brilliant, if I may call you directly Brilliant,
Please, please.
why do you think is it important for any leader to plan?
Okay, good evening, good afternoon, good morning from whichever time zone you have joined us. As a leader, I have experienced a lot of joy of leading, joy of planning, and today I have the joy of talking to you, Joy. And since this is a candid conversation, let me tell you, Alice asked the rabbit, which way should I go? That depends on where you want to get. The rabbit replied. And when Alice said, I really don't know, the rabbit replied, it doesn't matter which way you go. And this is the context that I want to bring into planning, Joy, as we talk. Planning is about asking a few probing questions. And I'm reflecting on what Alice and the rabbit had a conversation. Where are we going? Who are with us? What are we doing well and we should continue? What do we need to improve? And what do we need to let go? However, what I have experienced, and I have been in that trap a few times as leader, is we tend to focus only on my goals.
Mm,
And wise people have already said it many times, failing to plan is planning to fail.
exactly.
Many of us as leaders tend to have a short term or a myopic view of what we need to do. It's my year, right? We all feel itna karke chalo yaar, let someone else take that up. We as club leaders, and when I talk of club leaders, I'm saying presidents, but it means club leaders. As presidents, we are in charge of the club for a period of 6 months or 12 months, depending upon the term that the club has decided.
Mm,
And generally, what leaders feel the best way to do is think about what I can do in the 6 months, think about what I can do in the 12 months, and that's it. But
exactly.
this is where the planning element comes in, Joy. And I'm sharing it based on my experiences. I did what we call as step back, step here, step forward, which is
Wow.
look at what happened in the past, look at things that worked, look at things that could be improved. What is the current situation here today? And in future, what is it that I'm looking at? So I'll tell you, I mean, I come from the human resources fraternity. So we all think about BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals, right? So as a club president, I said I'll define a vision. Now, it
Mm,
sounds a big statement. Many of us forget that as club leaders, we are encouraged to set that vision. But before everything else, I wrote a letter to myself. And it's not a joke. I still have the letter. Sometime when we meet in person, I can show it to you. I wrote down what exactly are the things that I want to achieve. And
mm,
that time, my myopic view was only 12 months. And then I also said that I'll have a review.
mm,
Slowly, I realized that first thing that I need to do is communicate my vision. Now, as a club, while we have so much of things happening from the past, the present, and something for the future, we need to think about how we work. I would say embarking every single member as a part of the vision for your club, and that is the first goal of planning: is to collaborate with
wow.
everyone who can help. Communicate the plan to them. Let them know why they are important. It's not my way or highway. These are simple, right? Simple things which are very crude and raw, but begin with the purpose. Write down the goals, identify your team, communicate, and I would say it's raining here in Mumbai and many places have been flooded. So it's like you need a boat, and to make sure the boat is moving, you need OAR, ownership, accountability, and responsibility.
Wow.
So if you're able to bring those elements in, trust me, nothing can beat you in achieving what you set forth to. And that is why planning is critical. And guess what? Some of us may not realize, but all of these are available in a fantastic document called as the CSP. Many of us may not have even looked up, but CSP is Club Success Plan.
Exactly. Wow. Beautifully answered, DTM. Brilliant. When you were giving the answer, I really liked one point where you highlighted. So, as a leader, if you don't know where you are going, it's like you are the bus driver and 20 members are sitting in your bus and you are just randomly driving on the highway and you have no clue where you are taking the bus. Sooner or later, the fuel will finish and you
Exactly.
will just land all the 20 members somewhere randomly and you will be confused. Wow, this is so beautiful. So first you need to know where you want to go. Then you have to tell to your members where we are all going together. Wonderfully said that. And then you have to collaborate with them, share the load together, and then move forward. Wow, beautifully done. Thank you for this. This was very enlightening. Thank you. So let me ask. Let's get into. Okay, I'm getting some questions. Yes, we will be sharing everything with all of you. Do not worry. So the next question that I would like to ask you is, what is actually the club success plan?
Thank you. Thank you, Joy. fact, sorry, I came in from multiple sessions, one of which was about bringing humor to your speeches. And since you said about the bus driver, and the second session I went in also had a DJ who's also here today. So I can say, as leaders, we always believe that man Nicola gaddi leke. Now, important thing is, it's critical for you to know what are the things that will support you. And club success plan is that document. It's like your Google Maps, it's like your RC book, it's like your fuel container, which says you are half empty, full, which state it is. It's a blueprint. It gives a clarity to the club. And let me tell you, it is not just for leaders, it is for the entire club. It helps the club understand what is assigned to whom, what kind of a
Okay.
timetable do we have. Quite often we tend to forget, while we are in an organization which is voluntary by in nature, but once we are in it, there are certain goals that we need to achieve. We need to achieve the goals that are set under the distinguished club plan. Now, what is it all about? It's about certain goals that needs to be done. What is it that the club will achieve? Who will do it? How it will be done? And all these planning, as they say, planning is all about doing it in advance. It's not a post-mortem. It's an anti. It's pre the session starting or the term starting. The best thing about the club success plan, Joy, I would say, is it gets into so much of a detail that in case you get into a situation where you face some conflicts or you hit a roadblock, you
Mm.
go back to the club success plan, and you will find out the necessary elements that are there: who, where, what, how, when.
Wow.
All the questions are answered. And this is done in advance, so we know. So let's say, hypothetically, in a situation where you have a challenge of two XCOM members not working for whatever reasons, right?
Mm.
We can't predict the future. What we can do is we can plan for the worst case scenario. We say that
Wow.
in case this happens, this is what we'll do. And this is where I love the IT engineers, where IT engineers always have that construct which is called as if then else. If this happens, this is what I do. Else, this is what I do. And as leaders, the club success plan is that detailed document which will give you the elements which you can refer to, and you don't feel like you're fighting in the dark and struggling to find out here kahan jaun, kiske paas jaun. Your first
Wow.
point of reference is your club success plan. Then you go to your district leaders, your area leaders starting, then you go upwards. But everywhere, as they say, charity begins at home. For you, your search or strategy change starts with the CSP.
Wow, lovely. The one word which really hit me was the blueprint. So it is club success plan is nothing but the blueprint of the success of your club. So it means if a club is not doing the club success plan, they do not have a blueprint of how to move ahead in the next 12 months. So they are clueless. They're just wandering about in the darkness, as you mentioned. Wow. So if all of you who are listening to us, you don't want to wander in the darkness and you want to have a clear, crisp, crystal glow goals, you need to go ahead and have the blueprint of how you're going to progress further, who's going to do what, and what's going to happen in your club. And that precisely is the club success plan. Wow, thank you. So what happens, if I may just ask you this question, how minutely, how does it exactly help the club if they set the club success plan?
Okay, very good. Uh, this document, if you look at it, it seems like, I would say, like a Bible for people who want to refer what has happened. There is something that has happened in the past. If you remember what I said, that there is something which is past. Now there are key elements in terms of who is it that constitutes your team. Now, some of these are routine aspects because you know who your team is. But my focus, Joy, would be on looking at what are the team operating principles, right? A
Hmm.
critical element for success. What happens if there is an obstacle, right? What is it that you anticipate that could go wrong? And as I say, planning for the worst case scenario is something which we never do. But in any
Exactly.
business operations, you always plan and you have a backup plan, right? BCP plans you may have heard of. Now, what are the
Yes.
obstacles that you anticipate? It may not come out true, and I would say it should not, but you need to be aware of what it is. Then
Exactly.
comes, we are all diverse in nature. What works for Joy may not work for Brilliant. may not
Exactly.
work for Mukta, may not work for Aman. So we need to understand how will the team interact. What kind
Mm,
of behavioral norms are we setting?
mm,
Aman likes music. Joy likes to be silent. Brilliant likes to bring in Hindi words in his session. He likes movies. Each one of us, as you see, are different. And if you are able to
exactly.
identify and connect that,
Mm,
the behavioral norms in terms of how do we engage, how do we communicate, how do we break a barrier when, let's say,
mm,
I am not in a position to talk to Joy, but I need to get it over because it's not about Joy and Brilliant, but it's about working. Go back to what I said, collaboration. I need to work
exactly.
with Joy to achieve objectives for the club. And then you also have the situation analysis that is provided. I know, I feel very sorry for all those who have never seen this document. I would strongly encourage you, don't just look at this document. If you can get your past club success plans, it is not a copy paste thing, please. What worked when we were in person and what is happening today and what will happen in future are three separate things. It is an
Exactly.
input, good to have, but you need to work on current realities. And that's why I say the key focus that I said about team operating principles, the obstacles that you may see today. We are talking about hybrid club meetings, right? Now we never anticipated that this is what we will be looking at. How will I interact when Aman is not in a position to be in a virtual mode, but he wants a physical meeting? Joy says no, we want a physical meeting, and I am still sitting on the fence. Now I need to be either with Aman or Joy. No, I need to see what works for the club. That is where this document and the elements that have been defined comes to our rescue.
Exactly. So if we you could help us in finding it, I'll just do the screen share. So we
Sure.
will help our members to understand where do they exactly find this document. So I'll just go and share my screen.
Yes, please.
So you would like to help us with this, Brilliant, or
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
yeah,
So it's very simple. Since Joy is using his screen, Joy, could you just click on no, it's fine, just search for club success plan.
sure.
Let's start with, as they call as searching a club success plan for dummies. We go with the
Plan.
first step. First is log in to toastmasters.org. Go to the search button, click on club success plan, and depending upon your bandwidth and compatibility, this will come up faster. You will see the first line item, which is club success plan. Just click on it. It will be found under resources, which is easier for you to do, but this is already there. And as you can see, this is available for download. Just click on it and you can download it. The latest version, as you may have quickly glanced, came in the month of June 2021. And this document has a reference number which is called as 1111 Club Success Plan.
Yes.
You start with entering your club number. The composition, you start with the club officers and the immediate past president. You just mention their names, XCOM plus IPP currently in an advisory role. Then what are the core values? While the IRSE values are always there, what is it that the executive committee will work on over and above this? The critical elements that will be a value that we will follow. For example, if I were in a dynamic situation and I'm talking from a business perspective, I would probably say faster decision making as one of the core values that I would want the team to imbibe. So you can decide what works for your team and bring that in into the document format. This is the most important part. It's coming in the brackets part, but look at the words: trust, collaboration, safe learning. Now these are the principles. Now respect, integrity, all of that is a given, it should be there. But how will you start working on building trust, right? You
Mm,
may want to look at delegation aspects. Many a times people believe that as leaders, I need to do everything. I don't need to. I have a team for a specific reason and they have been defined certain roles. And if you don't know what your roles are, please attend the TLTP top up, which is coming up. Plus, make sure that you read the club leadership manual. Jot down, how will you work on building trust? How will you work on collaboration? How will you work on communication? What are the ways in which you will ensure that this team that is here to lead the club is going to make sure that they achieve excellence?
Excellent.
Now, the next is the most important part for all of us as leaders. In the current scenario, there are multiple challenges clubs are facing. So today, for example, I was attending some conversation where they said, "What happens if we move into a hybrid mode?" Right? No, we never thought. We said, "Okay, everything is virtual, it's fine," but there are logistical challenges. There could be an increase in cost. There is a possibility that you may have to increase your membership fees. Currently, people are saying, "We are working online. Why do you want to go into hybrid mode?" But we need to understand that there are challenges, which is my commitment. I am not able to commit time as a treasurer, for example. Worst case scenario, I am a treasurer, but I don't have a credit card. Right now, these are small obstacles. Now, what happens is if I don't have a credit card, I have to depend on Joy, Aman, Mukta, or anyone who has an internationally valid credit card, and they may not be comfortable sharing it with me.
Mm.
We need to remember that there are something called as privacy laws also, which we need to respect. So,
Right.
identify what are those obstacles. It could be personal, it could be professional, or it could be as simple as not having a credit card, right?
Mm.
And how do you overcome those challenges? And then you define what I would call as a TAT, a turnaround time, saying that we know that this is a given that Brilliant doesn't have a credit card which is internationally valid, which
Mm.
means if he gets a membership addition to be done as VP membership, then he will have to wait for entering the details and share it with Joy. Joy will log in at his convenience, maybe in a day or two, and within 72 hours, the membership will be added. So, what I have done is I have identified what are the possible challenges. I have looked at a possible alternative solution
Mm.
in consultation with Joy. It's not that I have decided that this is how it is. So probably Joy is not available. So I need to look at if then else statement. If Joy is not available, I have to look at Amana, I have to look at Mukta. Who all are the people who can give me that options?
Exactly.
Now,
Wow.
these are very simple elements, Joy, in terms of how the meeting will be, whether it will be a WhatsApp conversation, email conversation, how often do we meet, minor aspects, but it's important. Executive committee members are expected to meet at least once a month. I
Mm.
mean, it is it is something which helps you set the tone for the meeting. Sometimes, let's say there is an area director's visit coming up. How do you want to make sure that the area director doesn't take back a negative view of the club? Right? There is a
Exactly.
possibility that on the day the area director is visiting, most of the club members may have some personal challenges. So
Mm.
can we look at how do we plan it? How do
Exactly.
we communicate it? Every element. When do we call? Is it morning, evening, noon? It looks very trivial when we are talking, but Joy works from morning. I work from afternoon. Aman works from evening. So if we all have to come at one single intersection, we all need to agree.
Exactly. Wow.
Right?
Very powerful.
Yeah, this is the most important part. As a club president, please remember that you are responsible as a figurehead. You are not the do all of the club. It is not saying कि एक बार जो मैंने commitment कर दी तो मैं अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनता. You need to understand that there are other leaders, the executive committee members, and there is a protocol that is defined. So you need to make sure that decision making follows a normal process of democracy. Wherever required, you may need to get into voting. Please do that and follow all the principles. And once you
Exactly.
document it, it becomes easier for you. Now, for example, what we have seen is many a times all of these communication happen randomly. So, for example, Joy may send me a message saying, "This is what I want you to do." And then he forgets, I forget. And
Mm.
then suddenly someone asks Joy, what happened? Joy says, "Arey wo Brilliant ko maine na WhatsApp kar diya. I sent a WhatsApp to Brilliant." Now I need to be very clear that my formal mode of communication on aspects, which is the second part about the team behavioral norms, is define how the communication will happen. Everything that is formal needs to be formally documented in an email. because the advantage is these emails can be forwarded to the next team when it comes, when they come over, and you have that handing over or succession planning, as we call, in one of the key tick marks that we do before we sign off as a club officer. These communications could be passed on to them. So first form mail, day to day communication I can have on WhatsApp, but important parameters, document it on email.
Exactly. Wow.
Now these are the basics, and this is where I would say we all get too hooked up on the terms and terminologies. I would say focus on the team. TEAM. What does team mean? Training, the educational plan for your club, administration, and membership. Now if you
Wow.
look at these elements, it is covered in the balance scorecard for Toastmasters Club, and that is nothing but the distinguished club plan. Everything ties in. You look at number of goals that needs to be achieved, the training goals that are there, administrative goals that are there, membership goals. If you're able to focus that as an acronym called as team, I think you will be in a position to focus, and if required you can distribute these elements, saying let the VP education focus on the training and education part, administration can be focused on by secretary treasurer, the VP membership, VPPR can work on the membership element to bring in members, ensure that we promote the club effectively.
Wow. Lovely. You almost covered the entire club success plan. So uh, let me quickly go down. There are some key elements actually. If we have to, we have the next session coming up in which we have the entire DCP, which
Right.
will be shared with all of you. So we are not getting into how to get distinguished, how to go behind a distinguished club, because we have
Correct.
the upcoming session, which is the next session, which will be led by Himanshu and Aman. So that is the reason we are not getting into that lateral,
Perfect.
but we are only dealing with the importance of club success plan. This is the starting point for any club. We have only 3 minutes more. So Brilliant, any final comments you would like to add before we hand it over to the next set of uh,
No, I
panelists?
would I would only say what I said at the start, that we should know where we are heading, and it's important that we know who the team members are and how we will work together. Because in the end, it really doesn't matter who Joy is, who Brilliant is, who Aman is. What matters is together what are we able to achieve, and in the process help fulfill the mission of the club, which is providing that supportive and positive environment where every member can benefit and become better.
Lovely. So we have got 2 minutes. If anyone wants to ask something, you can quickly put your question down over there, and I'll try to ask Brilliant to answer that question back to us in 30 seconds. But meanwhile, I'll also try to sum this up and hand it over to Aman so that we respect the time of all the members who have joined us, all 78 of you. So basically, Club Success Plan is the starting document of your club's success. It is that document which is the beginning blueprint of your entire Toastmasters calendar year. So when as a president of your club or as the leader of your club, you have the entire club success plan opened and documented by you, you know what exactly you have to do for the rest of the year, because Toastmaster is that lovely organization which has documented everything for us, what you have to do throughout the year. So there is no need to go back and reinvent the wheel, because it has already been invented 96 years ago. So you don't really have to worry with that. All you have to do is open the club success plan, and the moment you open it, you will be surprised, many of you will be surprised, that almost 90% of the doubts and your questions that you had about the club operations and club management and how to deal with your club challenges are all there in this one piece of document known as club success document. You have all learned from DTM Brilliant where to find the document, what to fill in the document, and how to complete this document, and it is a blueprint of your club. Once it is done, DTM Brilliant has also suggested us that you need to share it with your first your XCOM. You have to discuss it with your XCOM and fill it up, and then you also share it with the rest of the members, because in this document is written which member is going to do what throughout the year. So in Toastmasters, it's not about one leader doing everything. It's not autocratic, it's democratic. So that is the reason we make leaders. And how will you make leaders when you do not have a club success plan? You would have seen some of you getting burnt out that I'm doing that, everybody's, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That's happening because the club success plan is missing. So how does club success plan tie to distinguished club program? We will quickly move into that. Before that, I would like to thank DTM Brilliant for sharing all this wonderful information with us. This was very, very informative. Thank you, DTM Brilliant. Fabulous job done. And we are sharp on time. Thank you. I was not expecting us to finish on time, but this was brilliantly done. Thank you, Brilliant,
Thank
for
you.
that.
Thank you.
And now I will invite our Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Amandeep Singh, who is a good friend of mine. And he will take us through the second session, that is Distinguished Club Program. And I'll not eat into his space. You all know him, so I'm not going to introduce him. He is, I call him Asardar, the most effective leader that we have. I hope you get the joke. If you didn't get, go and type the words and you will understand that. Over to you, Distinguished Toastmaster Amandeep Singh.
Okay, thank you very much, Distinguished Toastmaster Joy and Distinguished Toastmaster Brilliant. It was absolutely joyful and brilliant session which you both guys did. And I'll start from where Joy Bhai left. Joy Bhai said that the club success plan is the start of your journey as a leader, of the journey of a club in that specific program here, including the pre, present, and the future, past, present, and future, what Braden highlighted. Now, picking from there, if the club success plan is the start of your journey, then the DCP, Distinguished Club Program, is the journey, is the end goal. The club success plan will help you in starting your journey and reach towards the end goal. And the end goal and the journey itself is the DCP, the goals and the titles which we get. To talk more about DCP, what exactly is, how we can plan for it, and XYZ things, I would like to invite someone who is working into content marketing and editing. If and when he gets time outside of Toastmasters commitment, he's a Toastmaster since 2016 and has served in multiple leadership roles at club level and at district level, and has assisted as sponsor, mentor, coach, and has assisted me in majority of my Toastmasters journey, be it at club level and district level, being my fellow AD, my fellow deputy, and last year as the admin manager working with us as we served as club pro directors. So with a huge round of applause, please welcome Distinguished Toastmaster Himanshu Inamdar with me on this stage to talk about the DCP. Welcome, Himanshu, and good evening to you.
Thank you, Aman. Good evening, everyone.
Mansu, first of all, I want to start with really basics and really as a starter, what a new Toastmaster, very beginner needs to know about DCP is what exactly DCP means. I'm not talking about the cliche dashboard definition of 10 goals. I want to know your view that what exactly DCP mean to you as a leader or what you have observed in your leadership journey.
Right. So we had a fantastic session from Brilliant on how to work with our club success plan already. So I would say that the Distinguished Club Program is something that builds upon it. Like you rightly said, the club success plan is the foundation of whatever it is that we are trying to achieve as a club. And the Distinguished Club Program is something that helps to set a framework to make that foundation a reality.
Okay. Now the next thing is what is the basic criteria of DCP? If you can throw some light on that, what is the criteria of qualifying for DCP?
Right. So now when we get into the numbers and the specific goals, the Distinguished Club Program is a set of 10 goals. It's a program that runs through the entire Toastmasters year from the 1st of July for this calendar year to the 30th of June in the subsequent calendar year, which forms the one full Toastmasters year that we have. So this DCP, the Distinguished Club Program, includes 10 goals that each club should strive to achieve. And depending upon the number of goals that each club will achieve at the end of the Toastmasters year, the club will be recognized accordingly. So, for example, when a club achieves 5 goals out of the 10, it will be recognized as a distinguished club, 7 out of 10 as a select distinguished club, and 9 out of 10 as a select distinguished club. Now, one important point to keep in mind here, and this is unfortunately a point which tends to hold back many clubs from achieving distinguished status at the end of the year, is the qualifying criteria that we have for the program. So, this criteria is states is basically that a prerequisite to participate in the program is that the club needs to have either 20 members at the end of the program year, that is on 30th June, or it needs to have a net growth of at least 5 members. Right? Now, this is an or statement. So whichever number is lower would be the one that is applicable. Right. So to give a simple example, if my club had 22 members as my base. We'll also get exactly into what the base is, but just to go ahead with this example at the moment, if my club had 22 members as the base membership and I end the year with 20 members, then that's fine. Then my club will qualify for the Distinguished Club Program. Another example, if my club had 12 members as its base membership and it ends the year at 18 members, then it still qualifies because we have a net growth of 6 over the base, right? So now let's briefly talk about what this base membership means. Now the base membership is basically the membership of the club as on the 1st of July for this program year. So the base membership for all clubs on the 1st of July 2021 will be the base membership of all of those clubs for this program year. And usually, with certain exceptions, the base is a number that will stay static through the entire year, right? Now, the exception is that the base can also be changed if the renewal or the membership payment for a member is made effective a previous month. So, for example, my club had 19 members as on 1st of July, right? And there was one particular member who had not renewed in the month of March. But now this member comes back in August and this member agrees to pay their entire renewal dues from April to September, right? So then in this case, that particular member's payment would be added to the base. And then my base, which was 19 on the 1st of July, will become 20 members in August whenever that member makes the payment, right? So just to quickly summarize, the base membership is the number of members that a club has on the 1st of July of any program year. The base is usually static, but not in all cases. If a payment is made effective from the previous renewal cycle in any subsequent month, then that payment will be added to the membership base of the club, right? So that is the qualifying requirement to either have 20 members at the end of the program year or a net growth of 5 members over the base. Whichever of the two is lower is the number that would be applicable. So once the club achieves either of these two qualifying criteria, then the club is eligible for participation in the Distinguished Club Program. And then we get into the goals. So depending upon the number of goals that the club achieves in the DCP, the club will be recognized accordingly as a distinguished club, a select distinguished club, or a president's distinguished club.
Himanshu, very beginner type of question that many a times people do think that if we are 20 at the end of the first term, that is on 31st December, then we are distinguished. If we have achieved 5 points, and then we are distinguished. So, what is that end date after which the club can call themselves as distinguished or select or president distinguished?
Right. So a good question and something that we often see. So in this case, say for example, a club achieves 7 goals out of 10 by December. Wonderful achievement for the club, absolutely. But at this stage, even if the club has for example, 40 members, the club is still not a select distinguished club. What we can say is that the club has, as of today, achieved 7 goals out of 10 in the distinguished club program. That is all. The reason for this is that the distinguished status that we can see on the Toastmasters dashboard is updated only after both the renewal cycles for a particular program year are concluded. So, which means September and March as well. So, after the all the payments, the business for March has been concluded, it's only then that a particular club would be recognized as distinguished, provided they have completed the qualifying requirement, that is either 20 members or a net growth of 5. Now, once again, a point to keep in mind is that this the qualifying criteria that we have of 20 members as on 30th June is still applicable. Right? It doesn't mean that the club's work is over. The year-end program status, whatever is would be updated, is still updated based on the data that we have on the 30th of June.
Great, great. Thank you, Mansh, for clearing that doubt, because there are many leaders out there who are confused about this thing, that when we should call ourselves as the distinguished club or above. So thank you for clearing that out. And I'm getting many questions out there in the chat. Don't worry, we'll take it up towards the end, whatever doubts you have in the during the Q&A session. Himanshu, the next thing which I want you to put more light on is the team, which Brilliant said: training, education, administration, and membership. How does this team, these 4 factors, relate with the Distinguished Club Program?
Right. So that's a perfect acronym to work upon the Distinguished Club Program as well. So the 10 goals that we have in the DCP are divided into 4 categories. So the first category is educational goals, and we have 6 goals under this category. Then we have 2 goals for membership. After that, we have 1 goal for training, and we have 1 goal for administration. And the training and administration goals in and of themselves are also split into 2 parts, 2 subparts.
Okay.
That forms 10 goals, 4 categories.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Himanshu. And to those who are figuring out what the each goal refers to, what is the criteria, you can look into the screen which I've shared, or you can go and check your club's dashboard. You can see the goals. What this is my own club dashboard. So I've opened this up, taking the liberty being the home member of this club. This is what exactly Himanshu was talking about, and Brilliant said earlier: education, membership, training, and administration. And to put up in the sequence, TEAM: training 1A, 1B, administration 1A, 1B, membership 1, 2, and then 6 goals of education. Thank you very much for this, Himanshu. Next thing is, this is really a very intriguing question, which I was asked a lot of time in my past as the district leader. Why actually do we need DCP? Why there is a need of even the school program?
Right. So that's a good question, and something I imagine often will come up from club members or from club officers as well. So at its most basic, what we can say is that the Distinguished Club Program provides a very effective framework to understand how well a club is doing based upon various parameters. Now, everything that we do in the Distinguished Club Program is linked to a number, which makes it quite easy to assess the status of the club or the club's functioning based upon all of these parameters. Now, while we cannot definitively say or compare 2 clubs based upon their performance in the Distinguished Club Program, it can still provide a very a very effective measure of the club's performance. And at the same time, what we can also say that if a club is distinguished or select distinguished or president's distinguished, we can say that there are definitely a lot of things that are going right in the club. Right? It doesn't mean, so a president's distinguished club is not necessarily a club that is perfect, which doesn't have anything to improve. But we can definitively say that there are a lot of things that are being done right in the club. And that is what the DCP helps us towards.
Okay, now follow-up question on top of the same question. Again, this was something which I was asked around twice when I was the area director, that I'm a kind of leader who doesn't work for the targets or the numbers. So why should I actually keep DCP in focus? So what do you
Right.
have to say about this?
Right. Because also, like we saw in the club success plan uh, session right now, the DCP or an effective structure, either way, when we talk about the DCP or the club success plan or the moments of truth, any of the tools that are provided by Toastmasters, all of these help to provide a very effective framework to to help the club fulfill the club mission. Right, everything that we do in the club is aligned towards fulfilling the club mission, but on its own, the club mission is something that would be very vague to aim towards, right? So for example, to provide a positive and supportive learning environment, right? So that's on its own, without any of these documents or structures or parameters to back it up. It's very hard to go towards that goal. It's very hard to achieve that goal, right? And that is where these programs or documents, the club success plan, the distinguished club program, the moments of truth, help us with to
Okay.
achieve the very um, difficult and often used word that we call quality, which on its own would be very difficult to measure or to comment upon without all of these supporting structures and parameters to guide us.
Okay. Thank you for this. And to the leaders out there who were having this question in their mind, Himanshu has brilliantly highlighted why it is not just the numbers, it's more about measuring the success of the club or one of the measure to check the quality of the club. So thank you very much for that, Himanshu. Now the next question is how someone as a club leader can plan for the DCP throughout the year. Because as Brilliant and Joy also highlighted, that club success plan is not one-time activity. It's the plan which you need to follow throughout the whole year. The same applies for DCP. It's not just one-time activity. You need to plan for it throughout the whole year.
Right. So the club success plan obviously is one of the foundations for this. The second is another activity that we also recommend doing probably as close to the start of the term as possible. That is the moments of truth session. Right. So the moments of truth is a very effective feedback tool for the club officers, and this feedback is something that would be provided directly by the members of the club through a live session, right? And now this feedback, somewhere this can also tie into the previous question, that this feedback is not solely based upon numbers. It's also based upon the perception of the members of the club as well as the guests who might be attending the club, right? So the moments of truth addresses six different parameters or factors to gauge to gauge the performance of the club and to see how the club's members are also perceiving the club's performance. So these six parameters: the first impressions, membership orientation, fellowship, variety and communication, program planning and meeting organization, membership strength, and achievement recognition. So how well is the club doing upon all of these six parameters? Now there are multiple sub questions as well under each category, and understanding the feedback of the members for all of these parameters can go a long way towards improving the performance of the club and automatically contributing towards the distinguished club program, right? So the club success plan 1, the moments of truth 2. Now third factor is also can also be designed based upon recognition. Now Toastmasters is a voluntary organization, and recognition is one of the important tools that we have to encourage members to keep working and contributing towards the club and towards their fellow members, right? So for this, for when we talk about recognition, that's also a good way to base those goals upon. Now for example, every year the district has a Hall of Fame. Right? There are several awards under the Hall of Fame category. Apart from this, we also have some awards that are there announced by Toastmaster International as well. So, for example, We have this medley award, the Talk of Toastmasters award for specific member additions, right? So now just to take an example, we have two goals for membership in the Distinguished Club Program. That is to add four members, right? Now, in the first quarter, we have some awards in the District Hall of Fame. So we have a Priest Medley Award that is for clubs which add three new dual or reinstated members in the month of July, right? So that's one award. Then we have another Hallows Medley Award, which aligns with this Medley Award from Toastmasters for clubs that add five new dual or reinstated members in the months of August and September. So this recognition directly ties in with goal number 7 and goal number 8 in the DCP, right? So that can also be uh, one more parameter to base your goals upon, or to base how to base the club's functioning upon, right? So then in this case, at the start of the year, maybe in your club success plan, in your club executive committee meetings, you might want to incorporate the different Hall of Fame awards that we have and tag them towards a particular goal in the DCP, right? So right now we just quoted an example from membership, for the membership awards. Similarly, we also have the PQD awards for different educational goals, right? So we have the Educational Goal Contributor Award for any member completing level 4 and 5 from the same path between July to April, right? So these awards also tie into some goal, into an educational goal in the DCP, right? So in this way, you can incorporate the Hall of Fame awards in the planning for your DCP, and ensure then that each goal that we have in the DCP is also tied to a particular recognition, because then that also makes it easier to, in a way, sell the awards, or to sell the goals to the members, or to any other officers.
Thank you very much for that, Himanshu. And indeed, it's really a good thing where you just aim for DCP, and through that, you are able to achieve various other Hall of Fame awards under PQD, CGD, and other offices. So, yes, to those who are wondering what Hall of Fame is, and that is something which is the awards which are given by district to the clubs for achieving certain set of requirements or goals, which majorly contributes the DCP, which in relates with the DCP progress. So as Himanshu was telling, there is an education goal contributor award. So if any member of your club wins that award, that is completing level 3 or level 3, 4 and 5, or 4 and 5. So in that way, you are helping club to achieve these two goals if you file level 4 and 5. So that's indeed something very amazing, that you work for one thing and you get additional things and with you as the output. So thank you very much for those things, Himanshu, and that was really great, you sharing your input and your learning on the questions which were asked before. Now, one question which I got was that, let's say the example which we saw in the PDF, I'll just put it up on the screen for the reference of everyone. In this example, it is, we have two example in place. I'll take the another one. Let's say the basis of here highlighted is of 20, but let's consider the basis of either 18 or 19 members. So in that way, we have two choices to do: either to reach the mark of 20 members, that is to add two new members, or have a net growth of 5 new members. So what do you suggest? Which one is the better thing to do? If you have both the choice to do, either have a net growth of 5 new members or reach till the mark of 20 members.
Okay. So like we said, the requirement is whichever number is the lower of the two, net growth of 5 or 20 members. So in this particular case, if you have a net growth of 5, then you would already be achieving the requirement of 20 members. So either way, the club would qualify for the DCP. Now, if we are talking specifically about what a club wants to achieve, of course, the more the merrier. I don't think any club would ever say that we don't want 24 members. We want to have only 20.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. So the meaning is, if you want to go through easy way, you need to add one member to become distinguished. If you want to go with the good way or the quality way, you should target the net growth of 5 members. So thank you for that, Himanshu. And with this, I would like to open the floor for any of the questions which anyone in the audience have to either to the Brilliant or to Joy. The floor is open to ask question. Sorry, either to the Brilliant or to Himanshu regarding the club success plan or regarding the Distinguished Club Program. The floor is open. You may ping question either to me and Joy, and we will pass it on and we will ask on behalf of you. Brilliant and
There is
Himanshu.
just one small point I would also like to add about the educational goals in the DCP. So the DCP is not designed in such a way that only a very small group of members would be able to contribute everything for the club and skew the DCP, so to speak. So one important point for this is that any club will receive credit for only one type of educational award per member per year. So what this means is that, for example, one member Amandeep did level one from two different paths, but filed both in the same club in one club. So then, in this case, both the levels would not contribute towards the educational goals in the DCP because as a member he has already contributed one level, and then so as one member he cannot complete three or four paths entirely on his own and say that goals 1 to 6 in the DCP were all done by me on my own for the club. It has to come from different members, and that's why it's not an individual's work or the work of just a few members. The DCP requires contribution from the entire club.
Thank you very much for this, Himanshu. And after this, I can relate to this line whenever we say that the learning never stops or it never ends. This was truly a new learning for me. So thank you for this, Himanshu. Any question, if anyone have, you can ping either to Joy or me, and we'll ask it to Himanshu and Brilliant.
It's that शोले moment, AK हंगल, इतना सन्नाटा क्यों है भाई?
So I can say that either it was all clear where all your doubts were clear, it was like literally all clear where your whole mind is clear. But either ways, I will go with the first option, and I truly okay. We have one hand raised. Anand, you may please go ahead. Let me unmute you once again. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so the question is the last point which Himanshu touched upon, that was on that one single member completing two different, working on level one for two different pathways. The question is now, let's say in a single pathway, the person goes on to complete level one, level two, and the PP education files for an award. And then later he also goes on to complete level three. Which one would be, will the level two would be null and void, or how is it?
No. So then in this case, all the levels would be counted because the condition is that the club receives credit for only one type of award per member per year. So a level one, a level two, a level three are different types of awards. So in this case, if a member is completing one entire path, then they would contribute one level towards each of the DCP goals for point one, for goal one, goal two, and so on. And also one important point to keep in mind here, um, that sometimes is missed by clubs, that is approving a level in base camp and filing an award in club central are different processes, and the DCP is linked to the awards that are filed in club central and not towards the approval of levels in base camp. I think Brilliant also wanted to say something. Yeah.
I just wanted to add to what you said, Himanshu and Anand. Nothing is null and void while it is about the club receiving credit. If, for example, I complete multiple levels across pathways, as a member, I will definitely get the credit and it will show in my individual record, but it may not help the club. But that doesn't mean that you should not encourage members to complete multiple paths. The encouragement should always be depending upon their pace, depending upon their comfort, let them move forward, keeping in mind that of all the things that you contribute, this is what the club will get benefit. Everything else is gravy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Brilliant and Himanshu. And as we reach towards the end of the session, we will close the session. And as Joy has mentioned, and we can have questions offline if you have to Brilliant and Himanshu. You can find them on Facebook. If you need their WhatsApp number, you can ping them on Facebook to get their WhatsApp number. And at this point of time, on behalf of the whole PQD and district team, I would like to thank both Himanshu and Brilliant for joining us for this session and sharing your input. It was really enriching, and I myself got to know about so many things. And as I said, the learning never ends. No matter how much old you are or how much senior you are in Toastmaster, there is always something new for every one of us to learn about it. So thank you very much, Brilliant and Himanshu. And I would like to pass on control to Joy to have his final remarks and close the session formally.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. This was fun, and it was the first PQD Bootcamp. We are finishing on time as promised, and we will stop recording now the moment I stop speaking. Amandeep, immediately do that. And thank you everybody who joined us live. Thank you, Sanjukta, for that wonderful question, and all of you who asked us questions. For the next bootcamp, you know the agenda will come in advance. So if you're club members, especially if you're a leader of a club like an area director or a division director, and if you know that your clubs have any kinds of doubt, you can bring all those questions on. We will try to have a little longer time for the question and answers the next time so that we can serve the actual purpose better. And that is the learning, because it's the first boot camp for us as well. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for both to both the delegates, DTM Brilliant and DTM Himanshu, for enlightening us.